I'm Michelle T, and I'm going to be running the U Book Club. And I'm here right now in Yerba Buena in front of Mark Bradford's piece, The Corner of Desire and Piety. Mark Bradford is an artist who deals a lot with the way that African American people in the U.S. have been exploited, the way that poor people are exploited. And it's because of his work that I was inspired to start off the book club with this incredible book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. Honestly, I also was inspired because I had just finished reading it and I was so heartbroken that it was over. I didn't know what I would do with my life. So I'm happy now that I can bring it to you guys. This is an incredible book. Rebecca Skloot is a young writer and journalist, and in some biology classes in college, she became familiar with a line of cells that are used in experimentation in the medical industry called HeLa. And she was like, well, where did these cells come from? And she did a lot of research, and she found out that they came from this woman, Henrietta Lacks, who had lived in the Baltimore area in the 50s. She was an African-American woman. She was poor. She got cancer. She went into Johns Hopkins during a time when they were segregated, so she went into the African-American wing of Johns Hopkins, and she died shortly thereafter. She had really aggressive cancer. But what happened was the doctors, without asking her, telling her family, they took a cell sample from her. And what they did was they created the very first immortal cell line. Immortal cells are cells that just keep generating, so the medical industry can keep, doing experiments on them endlessly. And this has been like a holy grail of science for so long, and they were able to capture it using this woman's cells. But there's so many ethical things that, are at question here. And that's what the book gets into. And she actually goes, Rebecca Skloot, and she pieces together the life of Henrietta Lacks. Like, who was this woman? And she ends up meeting her whole entire family, who are living in poverty in the Baltimore area, and didn't even know that this had happened, that their mother had been, a piece of her was still alive sort of forever. It's a really beautiful book. It's really heartbreaking. It's incredibly fascinating. It's telling so many stories simultaneously. It's telling the story of Henrietta Lacks and her life. It's telling the story of the life of her descendants, her children right now. And it's also telling the story of science's efforts throughout kind of history to create this cell line. And there's been a lot of quackery involved in it that's very funny, that offsets the darker tones of the book. So it's a great book. We have a lot to talk about, so get reading.